Well, good morning, church. If you had started with me when we first started, it's having a little bit of trouble, but we'll start this over. I have some prayer requests for you. John Spolstra, he's out of the hospital. That is a praise. However, he still has a long road to recovery. That infection in his leg, the cellulitis, is really bad, and so just pray that the antibiotics work. Pray for the Hutchisons as Brent's dad is battling cancer and it's bad, and so be in prayer for them. And then also just be in prayer for those who, I'm thinking of the Knaps, those who have suffered loss. Holly Grease, with her dad passing away just a little bit. People are still in mourning. And so it's probably even harder in this time. So be in prayer for them. It's actually a privilege that God gives us to be able to pray for one another. So let's do that. All right, we are in Proverbs chapter 12. I will start reading at verse 1. This is what it says. Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but he who hates reproof is stupid. A good man obtains favor from the Lord, but a man of evil devices he condemns. No one is established by wickedness, but the root of the righteous will never be moved. An excellent wife is the crown of her husband, but she who brings shame is like rottenness in his bones. The thoughts of the righteous are just, the counsels of the wicked are deceitful. The words of the wicked lie in wait for blood, but the mouth of the upright delivers them. The wicked are overthrown and are no more, but the house of the righteous will stand. A man is commended according to his good sense, but one of twisted mind is despised. Better to be lowly and have a servant than to play the great man and lack bread. Whoever is righteous has regard for the life of his beast, but the mercy of the wicked is cruel. Whoever works his land will have plenty of bread, but he who follows worthless pursuits lacks sense. Whoever is wicked covets the spoil of evildoers, but the root of the righteous bears fruit. An evil man is ensnared by the transgression of his lips, but the righteous escapes from trouble. From the fruit of his mouth a man is satisfied with good, and the work of a man's hand comes back to him. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but a wise man listens to advice. The vexation of a fool is known at once, but the prudent ignores an insult. Whoever speaks the truth gives honest evidence, but a false witness utters deceit. There is one whose rash words are like sword thrusts, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. Truthful lips endure forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. Deceit is in the heart of those who devise evil, but those who plan peace have joy. No ill befalls the righteous, but the wicked are filled with trouble. Lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but those who act faithfully are his delight. A prudent man conceals knowledge, but the heart of fools proclaims folly. The hand of the diligent will rule, while the slothful will be put to forced labor. Anxiety in a man's heart weighs him down, but a good word makes him glad. One who is righteous is a guide to his neighbor, but the way of the wicked leads them astray. Whoever is slothful will not roast his game, but the diligent man will get precious wealth. In the path of righteousness is life, and in its pathway there is no death. So what can we say about this? Well, here's what I think. What a person believes will work itself out in how they behave. When a person has faith in Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit begins to work in them, and that changes their hearts, it changes their desires, it changes their behaviors. Faith in Jesus Christ is a game changer. I think I said this once a few weeks back in Sunday service. And when a person meets Jesus Christ, it's like getting hit by a train, leaves a mark. And this truly saved person does not stay in the same sins that they were in. In this chapter, there's an emphasis on the tongue. And as I was reading and just studying up on this passage before this morning, I came across this, and there was no this quote, and there was no it wasn't attributed to anybody, but it's smart. There is nothing which seems more insubstantial than speech, a mere vibration in the atmosphere which touches the nerves of hearing and then dies away. There is no organ which seems smaller and less considerable than the tongue, a little member which is not even seen, and physically speaking, soft and weak. But the word which issues out of the lips is the greatest power in human life. That soft tongue breaketh the bone, Proverbs 25:15. Words will change the currents of life. Look, for instance, at a great orator, addressing his audience, how miraculous must it seem to a deaf man watching the speaker that the quiet opening of a mouth should be able to produce such powerful effects upon the faces, the movements, the conduct of the listeners. That's the truth. The things that come out of our mouth shape our lives. Actually, this is not the only place in the Bible that the problem of the tongue is talked about. James chapter 3 spends a great deal of time. James chapter 3 verse 2 just says this, "For we all stumble in many ways. And if anyone does not stumble in what he says, he is a perfect man, able also to bridle his whole body." So as we read through this proverb, we see this problem of the tongue. We see this dichotomy of how the wicked use their tongue and how the righteous use their tongue. And it comes down to this, that the wicked use of the tongue destroys people, but the righteous use of the tongue brings healing. It brings the gospel. Listen, Christian, when we use our tongues correctly, we are bringers of gospel healing. And so that's what we must be. And while it may be near impossible to be perfect with our tongues, it is possible to grow in holiness in this area of our lives. You know, I've made jokes in the past that when I say something that I shouldn't, or when I struggle with what I say, I often make the joke that the filter between my brain and my mouth is malfunctioning. And that's exactly what I think is happening, is when we say things, we are not allowing the Holy Spirit to come in and change us. The Holy Spirit is not filtering the things that we say and really the things that we think, because, you know, the Bible tells us it's out of the overflow of the heart that the mouth speaks. And, you know, if the Holy Spirit is changing me in here, then what comes out of here should be different. It should be different than the world. But all too often we fall into this wanting to fit in. We fall into this desire to be accepted by the world. And in doing so, we let the things come out of here that flow from our old self, from our sinful nature. And so we can grow in grace in this area. We can be more like Christ. I share the story of my grandfather, who was saved at the age of 23 and died at the age of 89. And in the 66 years that were in between those 2 points, my grandfather grew in grace in that. And I rarely ever heard a mean word come out of his mouth towards the end of his life. You know, the Lord had changed him. The Holy Spirit had worked in him, had made him a man whose goal in life was to pray for people. You know, he told me even when he was sick, even when he had grown old, that if all the Lord was keeping him around to do was to pray, then that was enough for him. And so he prayed for his kids, he prayed for his grandkids, he prayed for his friends, his church, he prayed for the unsaved people that he knew. And so that is what we should be doing with our mouths. We should be edifying people, uplifting people, encouraging people, because those types of speech, we actually reflect the work that Christ is doing in us. So hopefully that helps you with this chapter in Proverbs, chapter 12. Hopefully it helps you in your understanding, and hopefully it helps you through this day and brings you some encouragement. So thanks for joining me. Love you, praying for you. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.